What's the most mysterious thing happened in your life that you can't find any explanation for?
Every month around the 5th, I get a letter with exactly $23. No note, no return address. I've asked family, relatives, friends, the 2 past occupants of this apartment. Nobody knows anything about it. It's not addressed to me, but to my unique postal address. The total is now exactly 1886. I have just stashed it all in a box. I do not want to spend it in case it's cursed.
When I was a kid, like 4-year tops, I woke up crying in the middle of the night. At the same time, my sister woke up, got up, and without a word, started closing the windows. I calmed down, we settled back to sleep. There was no talking about the reason until breakfast, when she started talking about a nightmare she had. Huge black dogs, climbing over the fence and under the gate and trying to get into our windows. I started filling in the details and we ended up taking turns describing the exact same nightmare. It never happened again. My sister is 10 years older. My neighbor unalived soon after he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. We had studio apartments with a shared wall. We were pals, but he always complained that my television was too loud. No issues. I would turn the volume down whenever he asked. The day after he unalived, I flipped on my TV. The volume control on the TV screen popped up, and it appeared like someone was pressing the button to lower the sound. I wasn't touching the remote. I tried 2 or 3 times to increase the volume, and again the sound decreased by itself. This had never happened before or since then. I wasn't scared or surprised. It's like my neighbor was wishing me goodbye. I was at my mother-in-law's flat in Hungary. For your information, I don't speak Hungarian, so I couldn't be aware of any of this. I tend to go to bed later than my wife, and for the first couple of nights, I had trouble falling asleep because around midnight I could hear the neighbor upstairs. It's an old block of flats made under the communist era. Walls are incredibly thin, walk in high heels, which was very annoying. I could also hear little objects fall on the floor, and I told my wife it sounded like the plastic buttons you have on some clothes. She looked at me funny and told me her niece hated to sleep in that room because she was scared by the noises coming from upstairs. I said that was a bit exaggerated, and I thought it was until my wife told me the flat upstairs had been empty for the past at least 4 years. Neighbor unalived years before that. And guess what? She was a tailor, always nicely dressed and wearing high heels. About 20 years, my grandmother told me about a haunted house she lived in. The deceased owner had left a cane and bowler's hat at the front door. Every time she moved it to a closet or into storage, it would end up back by the front door. I checked out the house 40 years or so since she lived there. It was a typical East Coast abandoned farmhouse, mostly falling apart. First thing I noticed when I went in was the cane and bowler's cap to the left of the front door. I threw it into the basement, which had mostly collapsed. A few months later, I went back and noticed the hat and cane were back by the door. I have no idea how someone could have gotten past the collapsed walls and retrieved them. It creeps me out to just talk about it. I've seen some other weird things on the property as well.